apart from the other crops, they can enhance their crop yield by 2% to 35,000%. So today I will be covering what is beekeeping, what is apiculture, from when it has started, and what are the advantages to the farmers, what will happen if there are no bees, why we are losing the bees, and it is the time for us to awaken and to save the bees. So I welcome you all, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about apiculture. So we can go to the next slide. Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, it's not moving. 1 second.
Page down, please. Yes, you can move this, ma'am. I'll be introducing about the apiculture. What are the objectives? And when you come about me, then my qualification is MBA, B.Ed, and LLM. But by knowing, and I'm a school principal, I run a school. And because the importance of bees is very much a need of a time. So I got into it and I took a training from NIRD. Then I started with 60 hives. Now I have about 200 hives. Then I have trained about 200 new beekeepers and more than 100 awareness programs in Telangana. So when you come, we will go into the subject. What is honey? What are the types of bees? How to deploy them in the farms? Who can start beekeeping and all? So you can see what is honey. Honey is a sticky yellow-brown fluid made by bees collected from the flowers. So we have 5 types of bees which we see around. Actually, 20,000 types of bees are there. 5 types of bees we see them around in the fields around our houses. Those are Apis dorsata. They are in a very long, and they're very dangerous. If 20 stings, a person can die. Then Apis serena, these we can even domesticate them, have them in the beehives. We can collect the honey from these Serena indica. We also have Floria. Their collection of honey is very less. Then we have Apis mellifera. As in 1980s, we had a virus and there was decline in our beehives in India. So we had to bring them from European countries. These are all Italian mellifera bees. Then we have Trigona. These are very small, as small as a housefly, and their honey connection is also very less. And these are stingless bees. We can go to the next slide. We can go to the next slide.
This one?
Yes. So when we talk about honeybees and honey, we only think about honey when we talk about honeybees. But more than that, pollination will be done to all the horticulture and vegetable plants. Apart from that, we also get bee pollen, royal jelly, propolis, and bee venom treatment also. So we in Rutika Innovations Private Limited, we are training all those new enthusiasts. We are giving awareness programs to the farmers. I have been training to all the agriculture officers and horticulture officers in Telangana. Also had an awareness program with 500 farmers in Vanaparthi with the blessings of our Niranjan Reddy sir, who is a farmer agriculture minister. So from training to extraction to purification to packing, testing, branding, and distribution and sales, we look into all. And 5 of my beekeeping trainers, those who started with 100 hives and 50 hives, we also have the buyback facility from them. We give them very good price, and we do the marketing for all those new beekeepers. Next slide, ma'am. So further, we also, instead of depending only on honey, I also collect bee pollen. Pollen is the protein source for the bees, and that we collect it in the season. From each hive, we can collect 1 kg per month. So only in 2-3 months, we can collect, as there is a good season in mustard, and coconut. So this coconut and mustard pollen is also a very good market for these. As the coconut pollen we are selling for 2,000 and mustard pollen for 1,000 rupees. And this pollen is collected from the flowers by the bees. And when before entering into it, we have a pollen trap where these pollen grains fall into the trap, and we collect them, dry them, and pack them. And we have 28 vitamins in that. So apart from honey, we also collect pollen, as honey is a sweetener and it is a carbohydrates. It has glucose, fructose, and sucrose, whereas pollen has all the protein source. And bee wax, purest form, bees secrete these bee wax to construct their beehive. So this every year we got to change these frames, and that changed frames we put the new ones, and we remove all the old ones, and we boil them, and we make bee wax. From bee wax, Rutika Innovations, we are also making bee wax wraps where it can be substitute of plastic, where we can pack the food in for children in their lunch boxes. This will be taking organic cloth. We add bee wax on that, coated with it. Then that can be used as a packing or lid. It can store the food for longer duration. And we also collect royal jelly. Royal jelly also bees secrete from their glands to feed the queen bee throughout its life. And it also feeds the young larvae for a day or two. So queen bee is fed with this royal jelly throughout life. So that is why its life is also 2 to 4 years. When compared to the worker bees, its life is only 20 to 40 days. So royal jelly, when we consume in liquid form or powder form or capsule form, our cells rejuvenate and it treats many of the diseases. So we have developed this in-house along with honey. We are also making with millet cookies, like ragi honey cookies, whole wheat cookies, and all 5 cookies we are making with millets and honey. And we're making some candies and bread spread along with chocolate and honey, and bee wax wraps. So Rutika Innovations Private Limited has adapted latest technologies and logistic solutions to ensure delivery of products. We are also giving home delivery to all those consumers. We also have online platform, and we deliver it home doorstep, at the doorstep. Next. So we can go to the next one. That is one unique site. So all these awareness programs, I am the committee member in State Horticulture Department. You can see Venkatram Reddy sir, he has encouraged a lot in beekeeping, that is apiculture. And we also, I'm also the member in Nalgonda Zilla ZP chairman is there. And I'm also member in that biodiversity group. Then we also conduct in various colleges, especially in Sagar Institute and all those agricultural universities where students were trained in apiculture. Next. So now we'll know why bees. You can clearly see in the first picture, the market is full of vegetables and fruits. In the second picture, you can see there is deficit of all these. So that is what, for out of every 100 crops, 90% of the crops need pollination, and 70% of pollination is done by the honeybees. So these, if because I mean, now as we don't have bees due to chemical fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, we are losing all the bees. So pollination service is lost in all the horticulture and agriculture crops. So there is a drastic decline in these crops as people are diverting to wheat and paddy, where wheat and paddy does not need much pollination. It is they are all self-pollinated. So whereas if we do not have honeybees, then the food we eat, the dry fruits what we eat, The clothes we wear, cotton clothes. Then all the fruits, vegetables, we lose them. All the pulses also, there will be decline in all the pulses, oil seeds, fruits and vegetables. And we can also see the decline in almost all the crops, and most of the crops will be extinct. Then there will be no seed formation. Now let's see how these bees help in pollination and what is pollination. So we can clearly see that no bees, no pollination, no food. So in this slide, we can see that in each crop, how much percentage it is increasing. So almost from 2% to 35,000% the pollination occurs. You can go to the next slide, ma'am. So this I can share, like each crop, like you have rye, we have mustard, we have oil, all the other oil seeds, we have sunflower, we have grapes, we have cotton. So all these crops need pollination. Then only the flower becomes the fruit. We go to the next slide. So all these bees they feed on flowers. So they go to every flower to collect pollen and nectar for the hive, for the family. They are not just going to flowers to pollinate our crops, but they are going to collect their nectar and pollen from. Go to next slide. Ma'am, next slide.
So I have to change again?
No, this is good.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, since we do not have the bees since almost 60 years, as we have the Green Revolution, and if you see in the Western countries, especially in Canada and USA, we can see only monocrop and heavy spray of these chemical fertilizers and pesticides. And all these pesticides which were used in the Second World War in the Germany. So those pesticides which were used to kill people, now these pesticides are used on the crops to kill the insects. So when they're spraying on these insects, all the pollinators and friendly insects are getting extinct. But the pest problem is never controlled. They are multiplying. So even using even more. So now, due to lack of these pollinators, every year from in Canada and China, wherever these almond orchards are there, they load these beehives in the trucks. They take them in semi loads, deploy them for a month till the flowering season is there, and they bring them back. So it's very cost effective. Now you can see them climbing on the trees, taking the paintbrush, going to every flower and pollinating every flower. So which incurs lot of expenditure to the farmers, and the yield will not be as much as natural pollination. You can see in the second picture in Japan and Taiwan, where the pollination is done through this air bubbles. So with these bubbles, we go on each pollen to pollinate it. Then you can see in one more tomato orchards, you can see them, he's holding a vibrator so that this pollen which is there deep inside, it comes out, then it gets pollinated. And you can see in sunflower fields where 6 to 10 women are engaged to pollinate sunflower seeds, either through hand pollination or with vibrators or with hand pollination, or nowadays they are using big sprayers where with fanning it so that the pollen grains fall on each and the pollination occurs. So this is all too much of expenditure, and even for flowers to stay, they are spraying some more and increase the yield, they are spraying some pesticides. So in turn, it is a great burden to the farmers. They're spraying after buying them. And in turn, we can do it in organic way, where we can deploy these in the organic farm. We have to convert into organic farming, and we deploy these beehives where it is a benefit to the farmer in the both the ways, whether it is increasing the in enhancing the crop yield, also by collecting the honey. So it is a additional income to the farmer as till we again restore all our native bees and increase the bees in the nature naturally to pollinate our crops. So since we do not have the bees naturally, as 80% of the bees are declined, 70% of the bees are declined due to these pesticides and chemical fertilizers. So we have to be awakened now, and at least now we have to be cautious to save our nature, biodiversity, because each insect will be depending on another. So there are some birds which depend on these bees because no other bees are there, no other pollinators and insects are there, no dragonflies, no butterflies. So these bee eaters, they just feed on the honey bees. So honey bees even more declining every day. You can go to the next slide. So to for that for additional income to the farmer, there is in the National Bee Board, there is a National Honey Mission or Sweet Revolution, where the central government is giving subsidies, awareness programs, trainings, where I am also part of it. I recently I got recognized as a master trainer in Telangana, and I've been given 5 training programs in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. This by CBRTI, that is Center for Bee Research Institute in Pune, which is the head of whole country. So they fund these trainings and they give certification. With that, through PMEGP, the farmers or the new upcoming beekeepers can also avail loans and subsidies on these beehives to start commercial apiculture or to take these bees as a rental purpose or deploy them in their farm fields to enhance the crop yield. So you can see that for every 1 acre, we can deploy 2 to 3 beehives. So that can pollinate the crop in 1 acre. So the crop can be enhanced from 2 to 20,000 to 35,000%. When we see sunflower, it enhances 200% crop yield. Because in recent times, we can see that in Nizamabad, more than 12,000 hectares of sunflower they used to have, but now it has declined to 700 because of lack of pollination. And now they call us and ask to please deploy the beehives on a rental purpose so that they get the yield. Otherwise, the flower quantity, the seed quality is not as much with hand pollination. That is why they want to deploy these beehives there by paying the beekeepers 1,500 rupees per box for the season. So for a beekeeper, it is an additional income. Also, we can collect honey from the sunflower, sesame, mustard, ajwain, dhania. So these are the major crops, and also citrus crops like sweet lime, lemon, then lychee. In north, we have a lot of lychee. Then also we can have deploy in jamun. So these are the fruit bearing trees where we can collect more nectar. I mean, the bees collect nectar from the flowers and they add their enzyme to make it medicine, to get it medicinal values, and it makes honey. So per acre, we can have 1 hive. So 2 to 3 hives. So from each hive, only 8 months flowering season if we have also, because June, July will be rainy season. It will be a dearth period. And those times we can deploy them in corn or jowar, where pollen is abundant. So that time we can increase the beehives with pollen. Egg laying will increase and the colonies also increase. So if a beekeeper in a beginning, if he starts with 10 hives, so within a year, with honey, pollen, wax, royal jelly, he can collect it and he can get at least 65,000 rupees per 10 hives. So this 800 into, this all depends on the marketing strategy, where some beekeepers sell honey for 200 rupees, or some sell for 500 or 800. So because there is no MRP, so it's up to us how much we are producing and where we want to look for the market, and we can increase our income. Because in recent times, through KVIC, we have given training, and we have given 10 beehives to those farmers who has been growing vegetables and also sweet lime orchards. So they, through this, by deploying the beehives, these farmers are able to get at least 4 to 5 kgs of honey from Serena indica, because this Serena indica, you don't have to migrate often, whereas mellifera, at least we have to migrate 6 times. And these beehives were installed, deployed there in their fields, and they are naturally enhancing their crop yield. Also, they are able to get 4 to 5 kgs of honey, and where they're easily selling each 1 kg for 500 rupees. So 500 into 500 is like 2,500 is the minimum income they are able to generate from honey from 10 hives. That is Serena indica. Also, they are enhancing the crop yield. Now they are growing diversified the crops, where they are going to get additional income on every crop by enhancing the crop yield. Next slide. So this is income. Like if you are getting, if you have to invest money on 10 beehives to start off with, once the training is completed for 3 days to 5 days, you can even work with me till you're comfortable, or you can visit my farm, or you can keep your beehives with me till you're comfortable, till you migrate and keep deploy in your own farm also. So for 10 hives, on an average, if it costs 5,000 rupees, so our initial income is 50,000 rupees. And this 50,000 rupees is the initial income, I mean the expenditure. So along with that, because for 10 hives, you do not need any worker. We can do it ourselves. Up to 50 hives also with one assistant, we can do it ourselves. And this is not a regular work, like how we have cattle or hen. This, we can monitor these beehives, like it is made of long stalk, because earlier we can see that they were on the trees hanged, but now long stalk, the person who has made this beehive, where 10 frames will fit in, and 8 frames bees, when we buy, we will be giving with 8 frames bees. And as they are multiplying, we can take a new empty beehive and divide them. So 10 beehives can become 5 in 1 year. So that is also an additional income. So from each hive, we can collect at least 20 kgs, because as earlier we used to get 40 kgs, but now due to the hybrid seeds and due to the climatic changes, due to other various reasons, the honey collection from the flowers has declined. So if we use, if the farmers are using native seeds and an organic way, the collection also will be more. So on an average, at least to 200 kgs, we can collect from these 10 beehives, that is 20 kgs from each beehive. So if we even sell it at 300 rupees, so 60,000 will be the income per annum from 10 beehives. So at least, and also I'm only giving 8 months and 4 months as dearth period. But some farmers, they migrate 10 times also, and they try to collect more honey, or they are going the diversify crops, as I'm doing in my farm. Those who wish to visit my farm, you can visit, because in the lemon orchard, we also have the integrated farming and how the border plants are placed, where in all seasons for 20 hives they can survive, and we don't have to migrate them. So each migration will cost about 6,000 rupees, because we have to go about 10 to 200 kilometers or even 300 kilometers. So that will be the major expenditure and labor cost. And when we deploy, and during the unseason, we have to feed them artificially. So you can go to the next slide. So this I'm still working on the expenditure. So what exactly is the pollination? As the flowers cannot move and they cannot meet, so they attract these pollinators with their color, fragrance, nectar inside them. So these bees, especially when we compare with all the other pollinate, bees have their structure, as they have 200 million hair on them. They have a static on their body, and they attract this pollen. And when they go to one flower to another flower, this pollination is occur. Next slide. So because of its fragrance, color, shape, design, and nectar, they are attracting these pollinators. And when these pollinators go on them to feed themselves with the nectar and pollen, this pollen grains tend to stick on these bees. And as they are going to one flower to another flower, this pollen grains of male and female, male anther and female stigma, they touch to each other and the pollination occurs. That is how the flower becomes the fruit. Next. Next. So this is the male anther and female stigma. You can see on every bee, there will be like 200 million hair and static. So it is able to pollinate every flower. And to collect at least 1 pound of nectar, it goes about 12,000 flowers. And it can even travel 2 to 4 kilometers in the radius. Next. This is self-pollination, and the fruit, when the bees sit on, for example, when a bee goes on one fruit tree, that is mango tree, which has very good taste, shape, and it is a good variety. So the pollen grains from there, when it touches to its body, and when it goes to another plant, so that flower, the pollen grains travel to another tree flower. So this cross pollination also happen, and the fruit quality also enhances. And because this pollination is done properly and in time, the yield increases, the seed quality increases. Now you can see the example in Kashmir. Every year during this flower season, from Himachal Pradesh or Rajasthan, all the beekeepers, they take their beehives in the apple orchards. Earlier, apples were of a small size. The color was not as good. The taste was not as good. And a lot of flower drop was there. Where 1 lakh, 1 million flowers are there, barely they used to get 1,000. But now when the bees are deployed there, the flower, the size of the fruits are increasing. Its color is in better before when you compare to the before. So every year, by giving rent to these beekeepers, they deploy them and they pay them money for this 1 month or 40 days during the flower season, and they send them back, and which is that is all with their own expenses. Because our natural pollinators, 70% they have declined. So they are depending on this artificial pollination. So if we do not have these pollinators and beekeepers and new beekeepers in upcoming days, then the pollination services will stop and the crop yield will stop, and there'll be a severe shortage of food security also will be there. Food security also we lose. Next. So this beekeeping we can see as a sweetener almost 8,000 years ago only. So these were found in Italy in the cave carvings. So how they collect honey and they store them and they use them as sweeteners and to enhance their beauty. Next. And because honey is antibacterial, antifungal, the honey doesn't spoil. There is no expiry date on the pure honey, because when these bees collect the honey, nectar from the flower, they add their enzyme, they put them in their beehive, and when it is full, they fan it, they remove the moist and bring it to 18 to 24%, and they cap it with the wax. So it has never expiry date. When we're collecting this raw honey, and it is very pure and it never expires, and it is antibacterial, antifungal, we use them in cuts and wounds. It heals very fast. when children or elders, when anybody has cold, cough, also we consume 1 tablespoon of honey, and it is like Sanjeevni for any kind of disease, or it's good to get good sleep. It is good for cuts and wounds. It is good for immune system. And when the child is born, just born babies also, even before the mother's milk, they mothers or relatives, they put little honey on the baby's tongue, and that is the first food to the baby, because that is easily it does not need digestion, because the bees already digest it and put it in their hive. That is what we are collecting, and it directly mixes in the blood. It doesn't need digestion for us, and it is also an instant energy source for us. So this honey mission, you can see 1994 to 95 in 8th 5-year plan, along with the agriculture, beekeeping is also become the part of a part and parcel of it. And National Honey Mission, they are promoting in 8th and 9th 5-year plans to increase this beehives. They are giving a lot of budget for this awareness programs to encourage new beekeepers and pollination services to the farmers, and to increase the crop yield, encouraging this, and also this honey mission to increase the honey collection also, because you can see in last 4 years 24% of our exports have increased, because India has diversified crops. We have tulsi, we have eucalyptus, we have ajwain, we have uh, jamun and sesame. So all these crops which has lot of medicinal values. We have also acacia in Kashmir, and lot of herbs and medicinal value plants which we have in our surroundings. So those have the taste and the medicinal values which we in India have. No other country has it. So we have a great potential. If we do not have this beekeeping, then the honey, the nectar which is there in the flowers, it goes waste. So that we can collect it by deploying them, by migrating these beehives from one place to another place wherever there is flower source, and we can also export them, and income to the country also enhances. Next one. So these are the bees we can see. You can clearly see in the first picture, that is the queen bee. There is a worker bee and the drone bees. The queen bee, there's only one queen bee in the whole hive, and there are 0 to 50 of drones which are male. The queen is only the female, and all the worker bees, about 50,000 worker bees in one hive in 8 frames, they all are sterile. And these bees only, they work according to their age. And these worker bees age is only 20 to 40 days. So up to 20 days, they'll be inside the hive, they'll be cleaning, they'll be feeding the young larva, they will be constructing the hive or the comb, honeycomb, then they'll be guarding the hive. Then only from 20 days to 40 days, it goes out for forage. Then a drone bee, very few, they do not sting. Neither queen bee nor the drone bees, they don't have any sting. Whereas all the worker bees have sting. With a stung, and actually the sting is also good. That bee venom treatment also is there. Bee venom therapy we say. So that is also additional income, because that bee venom also collecting is a process where 1 kg is costing about 4 lakh rupees. So many diseases are healed with this, like arthritis, sinusitis, and other ill health also, like even elephantiasis. Like there are 40 types of diseases where with this venom it is treated, and that is also one therapy. We can go to the next slide. So that is a worker bees which is very small, and we can see why are we losing these bees. So since this green revolution, we can see that as these pesticides, chemical fertilizers are introduced, and monocrop is one major issue, and disease parasites like varroa mites, then sac brood, thigh sac brood, and wax moth. These are some of the diseases where they get. And pesticides are the major issue where bees, we lose them and we call it as a colony collapse disorder. Because in 1996, we can see that in Canada, millions of bees have been lost. And when the beekeepers raised their voice, there was no answer. But when orchards, in lemon orchards in 2006, they can see that there is drastic decline in the almond orchards, the decline in almond production, because 40 to 50% of their income, they get it from the almonds. But due to lack of pollination, they were not able to get the required production. Not even 50% of the yield was there. So then all these people, they protested, they asked the government to come intervene and check why this is happening. Then all the scientists were involved. Then the scientists, they have found out that they are using the pesticides called neonicotinoids, which are very, very dangerous. When these bees go for forage on these flowers, they twitch and they die on way. So you can see them then they just named it as colony collapse disorder. They just named it. But later, when these pesticides were identified and they've banned in those countries to stop using those neonicotinoids. But still, even in India, 104 pesticides which were banned, we're still using them, like endosulfine for herbicides, pesticides. So which immediately these bees, when they go to forage, they twitch and they die, they don't even come back, and the colony will collapse. So the beekeepers will suffer because of the pesticides. But even then, when these pesticides were put on the herbs, the weeds, that will fall on these plants, and the plants life from 18 years, barely 7-8 years also they are not getting. And in the soil, earthworms are not there, microorganisms are not there, all the pollinators are not there, all you don't see any of those insects which are there, part of the biodiversity. So we're losing the biodiversity, and we are only increasing these pest attack on the crops. So we have to move to the organic farming, maybe slowly, but slow and steady. For sustainable development, we need to ban all these pesticides which are causing damage to all the pollinators and destroying the soil fertility and biodiversity. And you can see that flowerless landscape. We just want everywhere it is clean. But instead, I am practicing in my own farm, where instead of tilling the land and exposing the soil to the sun, or just using the herbicide and pesticides, we are only chopping them and putting on the soil where the humus will form. And we are planning the diversifying the crops and border plants, and one crop of integration of the crop. Because 100 years ago, when Howard, a scientist from UK, he was sent to India to see or change Indian agriculture. But when he had come to India, when he saw our crop, our soil, our farmers, he told them, as this farmers and soil is my professor. So he has come here, done a lot of research. He has written a book, how there is no pest attack on any of the crops, because we never had a monocrop. We always had a diversified crops, and we also always had a combination of crops where each one pest will go on another one, where there is no pest attack on the plant. So this combination of plant like wheat with chana. But when this new type of varieties like paddy were introduced, and they only grow with the pesticides and fertilizers. But when these fertilizers and pesticides were introduced, but our plants were resistant to it, they were not able to take. So they introduced this new variety called BT cotton or BT rice and BPT rice, and there's GMOs. So these are all pest induced, and there's monopoly of these seeds and these fertilizer companies, only 4 to 5 companies which are ruling the whole world and destroying the soil, the biodiversity. So if now for many farmers, like you can see in Maharashtra, You can see in Telangana also many farmers are adapting to the organic farming. Like Palekar G's 5-layer farming, organic farming. So any farmer, we always used to have cattle along with agriculture. So agriculture is both growing crops as well as the cattle, which were being taken away from us. And our native cows are extinct because of the tea which they have introduced. So a lot of other things which we have lost our native, our positivity and our strength. That is our cattle rearing. That is our native cows. When with one cow, we can cultivate 30 acres of land. So it creates nutrients. We can revive the soil. And to increase the fertility, we can also use the clover alfalfa, that is Janamu, Pillipesara, Jiluga. So that flowers also are fed by these bees. The bees forage on these crops where they also enhance the nitrogen fixing plants. So when we diversify the crops, when we have this clover alfalfa, this soil fixing plants, so that also will help the soil as well as the biodiversity. Next, please.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. So if we lose bees, we lose food because most of the crops need pollination, and due to lack of pollination, many crops like pulses, oil seeds, we lose them. Next, please. So benefits of pollination. So pollination is required to all the farmers in all the crops except for paddy and wheat. 90% of the crops need pollination, and it gives support to all the farmers community. It is also self-employment to many. It is helping the farmers directly and indirectly and generating employment facility, and also food security. As there are no bees, we lose the food. You can see sunflower, drastic decline in sunflower crop from 12,000 hectares to 700 to 900. Now this year, last year, as government said that no, don't grow paddy. So again, little bit increased. But due to the high yielding variety of seeds or GM seeds and due to lack of pollination, they are not able to sustain. But only when we have the native seeds, organic seeds like Vijayaram G and you can see some of the other seed banks where they are saving the native seeds. Even Vandana Shivaji in Dehradun. So they are saving our native seeds and spreading the word to increase our native seeds instead of hybrid or GM seeds. So it is health security to all the people because honey is one of the nutrients where we get good nutrition. It is from newborn child till the old people.
Madam,
And
sorry
it is
to
for the
interrupt.
betterment of environment.
Excuse
and
me,
it
madam.
also creates the biodiversity. Yes, ma'am.
Madam, sorry to interrupt. We have finished 45 minutes. If you can
Yes, ma'am.
quickly wind up, I will take up the questions from the
Yes, ma'am. This is
participants.
the last slide. So we need the bees for the biodiversity. So we have to save the bees. For that, we have to create more and more awareness programs. And a lot of youth who are there, I request everyone to spread this word to save the bees and convert into organic farming. Organic farming, because we are from the past 60 years, we have destroyed our environment enough. So it will take at least 3 to 4 years to revive the soil and the biodiversity. And I thank the management for giving this opportunity to spread this word. And I request many of the beekeepers, those who have any questions also, you can ask me. So these are other the byproducts like royal jelly, pollen, or which I already have mentioned. You can go to the next slide. You can see wax and propolis. So you can go in deep. You can see that breathing therapy, and you can see that venom treatment, that is epitherapy. So for a sustainable agriculture, when we see land, labor, capital management, and now beekeeping also. So beekeeping in India, we have been increasing from past a couple of years. and the yield is increasing from 5% to 33,150%. So potential still we need, though we have beekeepers now, but we still need 200 million bee colonies are required for engaging in their fields. Nearly 215 lakh persons are employed in this. And we also can collect the value added products apart from honey, 6 other byproducts. So a source of employment in the rural youth. Instead of migrating to urban areas, many are going back to villages. They can also adapt to this beekeeping and double the income to the farmers. So already we have lost 2,000 species of bees, and the bees which are left now, we have to plant the bee-friendly plants, develop the bee parks, and also even on the streets, forests, then terrace gardens, wherever we get placed, please plant these bee-friendly plants. I have about 21 plants which are bee-friendly, so that I can share with your management, then they can share it with you. Next one. So plant the bee-friendly plants and please avoid the pesticides. So save bees. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for a detailed presentation. I will take up the questions from the participants now.
Yes.
The first question is, how long does it take to harvest honey once everything is set up?
Okay. So in a season like sesame, if we deploy the beehives in sesame, that is Nuvulu, so it has about 40 days flowering. So in 20-25 days only we can harvest, and per hive we can get 1.5 to 2 kgs of honey. So in a season we can harvest 2 times.
Okay.
Like
Are there-
mustard, ajwain, sunflower, sesame, and dhania. These are the major crops where the honey, sunflower and safflower also. So major nectar availability is there in that.
Okay.
Every 25 days to 1 month we can harvest.
Okay. The next question is, are there ways to identify honey purity?
Yes, there is honey testing kit is there. And the majorly honey testing where we have to send it through to Germany for testing. And here we can only see glucose, fructose, sucrose content. And this is on purity, taste, depending on the beekeeper and where we are buying them. It will be thick because in every season and depending on every flower, the thickness, smell, taste differs. So the purity is only the trust of the beekeeper and from where we are sourcing it. And there are some testing kits where we can identify them. There's a honey testing kit is there. So with that also we can check.
Okay. What type of honey is most prevalent in the market today?
Now what we see is 90% is impure. There are more added sugars. The pure honey where we collect it from sesame, sunflower, and what I collect is where we deploy in various fields and we collect it and we don't mix everything. But what we get in the market is all they mix it and they process them, heat them, and they just bottle it. But actually, pure honey, I would like to give throw a light on it, because pure honey, especially when it is collected from mustard or any flower, they become crystallized, and because of its properties, good properties, they get crystallized. How this coconut oil or ghee, it gets crystallized. In the same way, the honey also gets crystallized. But what we see in the market, they don't crystallize because they heat it 60 to 70 degrees and they kill all those good things which are there. Because when we buy, we think that crystallized honey is not pure, it is added sugars. But pure honey always crystallizes.
Okay.
I hope I addressed, because this is the point I would like to give.
Okay. I'll move on to the next
most
question.
of the good honey from mustard is exported. What we eat is the second grade.
Okay. The next question is, in India, which are the regions with the best honeybee farming?
In Telangana, when we take Nizamabad, Vikarabad, Zairabad, even Nalgonda in citrus is very good. And Rajasthan, we get Ajwain, Bajra, where the population increases. And Dehradun and Bihar, we get lychee honey. In the north, most of the honey will be collected from the mustard. Major beekeepers are in Punjab, but there's not much flora, and we don't collect from paddy. So these are the good belts in Rajasthan, Gujarat, even Himachal Pradesh, where these orchards are there. Even in Kashmir, you have a lot of ground flora. Ground flora means not these major crops, but you can also see all the weeds also where they can collect nectar. And in Vijayaraya, in Andhra Pradesh, there are a lot of coconut trees. From coconut, we collect pollen. So pollen is very expensive, like 2,000 per kg it is in the market now, and which has 28 vitamins. So immune system disorder also it heals. So there will be an additional income to the beekeeper and the farmer.
Okay. What are some of the issues that one can face in this business?
So major issue is pesticides. So that we have to create awareness, and we should have good relation with the farmers when they spraying any pesticides. We have to close those entrance and to take these hives away for 2-3 days and again bring them back. And monocrop, that is in Telangana, we can see that 60 to 70% only paddy and cotton. So only 20-30% we can see the other crops like pulses and oil seeds. So as 70% of the oil seeds are imported from other countries, and we have great potential in our state also to grow safflower, sunflower, sesame, and which are pure and which also.
Madam, can you please unmute your mic? Can you repeat what you were telling, ma'am, just a second ago?
I stop, ma'am. Can you repeat the question, ma'am?
Yeah, 1 second.
Ma'am, can you repeat the question?
What are some of the issues that one can face in this business?
Yes. One is pesticides, other is monocrop, and migration also we have to do it often. So some diseases and all, if the colony is strong and if it is getting good forage source, then we can manage them with the training and the regular monitoring. Like wax moth, because when colony is declining, frames get empty. On the empty frames, we get wax moth. So this all will be covered in the training. This we can overcome. But major thing is pesticides, and we have to choose the location where the pesticides and herbicides are less, near to the forest or some ajwain and some other crops where they don't use much of these pesticides. Or migration part, we can do it. We can avoid any kind of damage.
Okay. Can you let us know what made you take an interest in apiculture?
Yeah, since during the Corona time, I was watching the budget, and they have given central government, Nirmala Sitharamanji, she has given 500 crores. And the same time, all 99% of the brands, they all failed in NMR test, nuclear magnetic resonance test. That means they all are adulterated. So every morning, those who love their health, those who want to enhance their health and reduce weight, we all tend to go and buy Dabur honey or Patanjali honey. All those brands have failed. So I thought, why not I do something about it, and why the government is encouraging beekeepers and honey production. So then I got to know the training which was given in NIRD. I took training in NIRD. Then I saw some drawbacks there, because only those who can afford for 5 days and those who can afford that much amount, only they can go. But it is not benefiting to the farmers. So we have to go to the farmers and educate the farmers by not to use the pesticides, create awareness from them, what kind of seed they have to use, how to increase their income. So government is giving subsidies through KVIC, KVK, MSME, then NIRD. So all these departments are giving loans and subsidies, especially KVIC. They train and give 10 beehives for free. And through horticulture, now horticulture is major nodal agency where they will see that if they get implemented and 50% subsidy is given to them. And FPOs also 75% subsidies will be given. So all these benefits, it has to reach to the people. So in Telangana, we do not have earlier we did not have many beekeepers. So after I came, I have conducted about more than 100 awareness programs, and more than 200 new beekeepers, they got trained under me. And now I am I've been recognized as the master beekeeper in Telangana, and I've been given to conduct 5 training programs through CBRT and through KVIC. Also, I am the training partner, and horticulture is in pending. So as my own students, the training, they are also taking trainings now. They also started with 100 hives. So this made me to increase the number of beekeepers and to create awareness among the farmers. And also I conducted many trainings to horticulture department officers. Also in Niranjan Reddy sir's farm itself, like more than 500 farmers they have attended. So like that, I want to create more and more awareness to the people to take up organic farming and take beekeeping as a supplementary income for farmers as well as new beekeepers.
Okay.
And I mean, we only talk about it, but when we follow and tell, it has more effect. So I took training. I started with 60 hives. Now I have about 250 hives because I also have school. I cannot increase more because up to 200, 250, I can manage myself with my students, trainees who are took training. They also help me in migrating and harvesting honey. And I'm encouraging more beekeepers so that they can make this beekeeping as their source of income.
Okay. Can beekeeping and honey production be the main income generating activity for a farmer, or will it always be a small side project?
For farmer, it is definitely double the income because he's enhancing his crop yield. Like if he has sweet lime, lemon, vegetables, so all these from 2% to 200%, sunflower 200%, vegetables 70 to 80%, sweet lime 80%. That means flower drop reduces. He doesn't have to use the pesticides for the flower to increase, and yield is increasing, size is increasing, taste is increasing. So that is a major income source for him. Apart from that, during the season, if it is in sweet lime, one farmer, he from one hive, you could collect 4 kgs of honey. So that is additional income for him if he sells and he keeps that with him. That is a income and food source for him as well.
Okay. We have one last question, ma'am. Is the laborers in a beekeeping farm need any special training to handle the bees?
Yes, they have to have the proper training, how to handle them, because every bee is very important. And for that, we wear bee suit, how to handle the tools, how to open the beehive without damaging, and if it is declining or if it is increasing, how to handle them. Everything has to be trained. And if any pest attack or any disease is there, how to identify that and check that immediately so that it doesn't spread to other hives. So training is a must, and for them, for the safety of the bees and health of the bees, we have to wear the suit, gloves, and we have to use the tools. So all that will be covered in the training. So training is a must.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. We have now completed the round of questions. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we like to thank Mr. K. Indira Reddy for the talk and for answering the questions in detail. I'd like to also thank all the participants in this meeting. This meeting will now be closed.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you, ma'am.
You are welcome, ma'am.
Yeah. You can always contact me. You can share my contact details to them, ma'am, if any would want to.
Yeah, we have shared your contact details, ma'am. Your mobile number and email ID.
Okay.
Thank
Because
you.
through CBRTI, we are conducting training this month end.
Uh.
And it only costs 1,180 rupees for tuition fee, and for certificate also will be given. So if anybody wants to give and take up this training, they can contact me.
Okay, fine, ma'am. We have shared your contact details. They'll be in touch with you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so
very
much.
much.